And you're watching The Rock Office.
Hey, everyone out there, you've reached The Rock Office. It's time to clock in and rock out. I'm your host, Bill Smith.
And I am Kevin Davis.
All right, we are back. We got another episode to bring you today, and we go backstage at Cleveland House of Blues and speak with Mr. Todd Mohr, who is the lead singer and the, I guess, the moniker, if you will, of Big Head Todd and the Monsters. He is the Big Head. And
That's right.
We got a chance to speak with him before his show a few months back. This episode is a little bonus treat. We didn't think we'd get a chance to bring it to you, but we are bringing it to you here. And Mr. Mohr was a delight to speak to. Real great guy. Great show. I mean, if you're into just a blues, a rock, and they're a threesome,
just a jam band,
Yeah, I would say bands like Blues Traveler, maybe Fish, Dave Matthews Band, just these bands that are,
they play anything.
Yeah, they just play, and they love to play, and that comes across their show. You'll definitely dig Big Head Todd and the Monsters. They had a couple hits back in the 90s. Bittersweet was one of them, Resignation Superman, but I think, to me, I know them as a blues band, with rock influences.
I think that's the genre that comes over the most when you watch them. Definitely a blues band, but there's a lot of there was some funk that we experienced that night. There was
there certainly was.
Yeah, well, in more ways than one. I guess you get that at every concert. But there was some real gritty blues, some rock. But most of all, these guys are players. They got up on stage and they didn't have an opener, and they got up and they played all night. They had two sets they did, and each set was easily an hour and 20 minutes in length. And, that's cool because when you're going to see a band, you want to see that band as much as you can.
Right.
And for those that came out, because they have a big following too, Yeah. So for those that came out to see them, they got to see them. And that's really cool. I had a great time.
Well, I think just a testament to them, the only other band in recent memory that I've seen that's been able to not have an opener and do 2 hour-and-a-half long sets is Rush.
Yeah.
And, I mean, a lot of comparisons to them. I mean, maybe not musically in the genre, but, they're both bands are players. They're threesome, bands. But, for them to be able to hold that kind of a concert where, no opener, that says a lot. It says a lot about a band.
Yeah, it's good stuff. He was very gracious. You'll see that in the interview. Very down to earth. I would say one of the nicest guys actually we met. I don't know why it took us so long to pull this one out and bring it to you. I guess it's just one of those things you want to find the right spot for it and find the right time for it. And I think you'll see, if you look these guys up after you watch the episode, I think you'll see that, if you just want a band to listen to, that, you may not know the songs. You may, you may get to know them, but you may not know the songs. But from step number one, when you start listening to them, you're like, man, this is good music. It's like, I've turned people on to Joe Bonamassa. They don't know who Joe Bonamassa is. They had no clue. You listen to the guy, you might think the guy's a black guy. Then you end up seeing him, he's like a Joe Cocker, It's like total opposite of what you're expecting. Yeah. But it's one of those things you can just listen to and you're like, man, it's good music, and that's how Big Head Todd and the Monsters. In fact, actually, when you see him and then you listen to him, you wouldn't expect this guy to be that guy. You know what I mean? Yeah,
actually, one of the top 10 lists I'm secretly working on is artists that don't look how they sound.
There you go.
And he's on that. Another I don't want to give too many away, but like Chris Robinson from Black Crowes, which is another band actually I would say are very contemporaries of Big Head Todd. A very blues based rock, but. just a fantastic. He was a great guy to speak with, and we're excited. House of Blues in Cleveland. Thanks for letting us. We had to use a part of the venue. We've done a lot of episodes from there before, but we got a really cool area with a nice paint backdrop, a mural.
We tried to change it up a little.
Yeah, and it was really cool, and
worked out.
Yeah, so I think you're going to be impressed with the music and with the man, and that is all coming to you right now. We will be right back. All right, we are here at the Cleveland House of Blues with the big-headed one himself, Mr. Todd Mohr from Big Head Todd and the Monsters. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Mohr.
Thanks for having me. My pleasure.
And we are certainly longtime fans. I actually first was introduced to you guys when I worked at a record store about 96, 97, A Beautiful World came out.
Oh, wow.
And I just fell in love with that, and then I kind of went back into the catalog and discovered like Sister Sweetly and Stratagem and all that stuff. So, but you have a new album, Black Beehive, and you're currently on tour. In support of that, how's the tour going, and how's the fan reaction been to the new album?
Well, we have a beautiful backdrop.
Yes, we were
littered with
insects.
Yeah. And a bee painted on the drum head. We've been having a blast. The reaction's been great to the album. It's kind of a blues-oriented album, so I don't think it's too difficult to understand.
Right.
And it's got a lot of emotion in it, and a wonderful production. Steve Jordan was the producer.
Yeah.
And people have been digging the album. And last night we were in Cincinnati, and I don't believe we've ever sold out a venue there ever, and we sold out last night. So something's going on.
Congratulations! That's awesome. That's awesome. What I'm about to say is by no means any disrespect to you at all, because the man is my favorite guitar player of all time. But when people ask me, like, what do they kind of sound like? I say, if Stevie Ray Vaughan were doing alternative rock music, you would get Big Head Todd.
All right, I love it. Thank you.
Is that cool?
Oh, yeah, we love Stevie. We miss him dearly.
He's, such a loss. Anyway, so Black Beehive, digging the album. To me, it's kind of a little... Like, I see the progression through the career, but it sounds a little different. There's like a freshness to this album, maybe compared to your last couple.
Nice.
Would you share with us, maybe kind of the creative process, what went behind?
Sure. Well, the first part of it for me was I had the thrill to do this project called 100 Years of Robert Johnson, and it was a tour and a collaboration between my band and Honey Boy Edwards and Hubert Sumlin, Cedric Burnside, and Charlie Musselwhite. There's a bunch of folks involved. We were on the road for a few months supporting it, and it really changed my life because I hadn't studied Robert Johnson or that era of music before, and this kind of forced me to have to learn all those guitar parts and all those lyrics, and it really changed my life because it opened me up to a whole different world of blues that I really didn't understand. And the Mississippi Delta stuff before 1945. Right. And so artists like Charlie Patton and Son House and Booker White, that music really floored me because of the variety. It wasn't ever just 12 or 16 bar blues. And arguably, it isn't even blues. It's like country and blues. It's almost like music before it was unpacked. Okay. Because these artists had to learn every kind of music because they were the jukeboxes of their times.
And they were actually, in a way, creating, this new thing, if you will, as, the blueprint for rock and roll.
There you have it. So that's what really got my mind to see a different way of songwriting, because blues isn't. There's very few choruses in blues. It's very much, it's prose. It's here's what happened. And so I just got a couple tricks up my sleeve from that, and then I spent a summer writing a song every day based on the news. And then I'd record the song and video perform it and post it on YouTube every single day. Okay. So I had to work really fast to be able to get good enough to perform it and post it. And I wrote most of these songs out of that grouping, and that's why, like the song about Amy Winehouse, Black Beehive, she died, and so that was the song of the day. Right. Wow. And I just got a lot of great compositions out of it.
That's amazing. I hadn't heard that story behind that. That's actually quite phenomenal. I tend to look down on a lot of newer music. I don't know how to say it, like in the mainstream, if you will, because there's not a lot of substance.
Yeah.
But that's amazing to hear something like that.
It's kind of neat because because I worked out of the newspapers and what was around, the story's already there.
Right.
You're not scratching your head like what's going to happen. What's the song about?
Right.
You never wonder on that.
Okay.
And so you get to the flesh of it really quickly, and it's a wonderful way to work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we are here in the Cleveland House of Blues with Mr. Mohr of Big Head Todd and the Monsters, and we will be right back. We are back with Todd Mohr from Big Head Todd and the Monsters, Cleveland House of Blues, chilling out before their show this evening. So one of the things I'm always curious the thought process behind artists that have such a rich catalog like you guys do. You have so many great songs, and I'm probably more than a casual fan, but I'm thinking, like Broken Hearted Savior, you got, obviously Bittersweet, and, even off of Beautiful World itself, These Days Without You,
Sure.
Crazy Mary, Resignation Superman. I'm sure they're like, those are songs like I'm really looking forward to hearing tonight, hint, hint.
Nice.
But, how do you decipher, okay, what are we going to play off the new album? What do the longtime fans want to hear? Kind of what's your thought process? What do you want to play?
Sure.
What do you decide though?
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing because there's a lot of different ways to go about it. I mean, sometimes we've, in the past, not had a set list and just kind of just let it roll.
Right.
And had fans from the audience scream out songs, and that worked out really well for us.
Okay.
These days, we have a couple guests, Hazel Miller and Ronnie Baker Brooks, and we're also, supporting our new album. So right there is a big chunk of stuff that you got to play every night.
Right.
So I'm having to structure a show a little bit more, and there's still some room in there to cover people's requests, but generally I'm trying to get to what is people's favorites,
Right.
and get to all the rest of the stuff.
Okay. Well, by no means don't let my favorites or what I just mentioned sway your decision, but if it does...
Well, you're luckily you're covered for the most
Okay,
part
so
tonight,
that sounds great. That's awesome. And the one thing I do want to talk to you guys about is, like, I've always known you guys as a three-piece, much in the vein of so many great powerhouse three-piece, like Jimi Hendrix Experience, Steve Ray Vaughan, Double Trouble,
Sure.
But you have expanded recently. Mm-hmm. Can you share a little bit about, how that came about, the decision process behind that, and,
Well, we loved being a three-piece, and we were a three-piece for 15 years or so, I want to say.
Yeah.
And, but there was a few keyboard parts that kept creeping into the albums. There's
Right.
a lot of organ on Sister Sweetly, and so we started to dally with keyboard players, and we were fortunate enough to come upon Jeremy Lawton, who
Okay.
also plays pedal steel and steel guitar. So
Nice.
we got a lot with him, and he's been with us for, I want to say, 10 years now. And
Okay,
he's been
wow.
a great friend and band member. But being a trio is really special, I must say. And, so I look forward to doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, even like John Mayer recently released like a trio album,
Sure.
and just that powerhouse, that blues. I mean, there's something so unique, and you guys are certainly one of those bands that are able to do that and do it well. So that's why when you kind of expanded, I was like, oh, I wonder what's going on behind that.
No, that's interesting. I'll have to get back to that trio sooner or later.
Nice. Well, don't tell me like the president. No, I'm just joking. I'm actually interested. I'm really excited to hear the whole band.
No, you're gonna love it. It's really a great band right now.
That's awesome. One question that we always like to ask our guests, and this is kind of redundant to our fans, but I've never spoken with you before, so I'm going to bring it up to you. Is we are big fans of physical music versus like the digital. Like obviously we still have the CD and still buy the LPs and all that stuff. And one thing we'd like to ask our guests, are what their feelings are, in the physical world of music versus like the digital, because it seems today that there's a certain aspect that the music industry has lost as it's progressively switching to more of a download mainstay. And, we're just curious, like I know Record Store Day is coming up soon, if that's something like you or know about or participate in, or, just what are your thoughts, good or bad, or, indifferent, whatever?
Well, there's good and bad. I mean, I, like you, am a big fan of vinyl and of analog recording, the old days with the 2-inch analog tape.
Right.
Nothing replaces that. And I actually really liked wax recordings, and really old sounding recordings are killer to me.
Yeah.
So from an audio standpoint and aesthetically, you got no argument for me about the digital, analog thing. But we do live in a digital world, and luckily it does sound better now. But the upside from that, even though people say it still sounds, lame, is there's more access to music and all kinds of different music. And even though I'm not lugging around my records that I love, I'm learning a lot about music from YouTube and watching and discovering artists and being able to watch my old blues heroes and watch them play and perform. I mean, that's really, really rich.
You're right.
So I think that the way people listen to music in their cars and blah, 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 overall I think that the progress has been good for music.
Cool. Very cool. So now the one other question I wanted to ask, and I apologize because I skipped over it, was when I think of your music, like I said, Stevie Ray meets like an alt rock. What is it about, the blues are my favorite genre of music. I'll just say that. Like, some of the men you mentioned earlier, I grew up listening to like Muddy Water, Little Walter, Howlin' Wolf, like, and that's still like Robert Johnson, wax recording, all that stuff. That's still like where my heart goes for its favorite. And I'm always interested in talking with people I think share that same kind of love and passion. But for you, where, your music is so deeply entrenched in the blues. I mean, there's a lot of rock and other influences, but that's, to me, what I pick up primarily. So where did that love of the blues come from for you? And does, how much, in consideration do you take that format when you're writing music?
Well, I came to love blues by going to the used record store that I could walk to.
Record stores.
And, just thumbing through them. And I'd buy a lot of stuff just on the cover, not knowing what I was getting into, and I discovered a lot of music that way. At the time, a lot of my friends were listening to Styx or Van Halen, or so that was one of the ways that I rebelled was through blues and soul music. And then, currently, I would just say that I became really engulfed in what blues was about, and how the function that it served in the society, which is different than pop music of today, where somebody writes music that's going to make them a lot of money. So they sort of calculate, how to do that. And blues was different. It's like there's suffering and there's a life story and there's news and it was the way that people shared with each other. And so I find that difference really profound, and that sort of kind of dominates my thinking about music. I'm not trying to write choruses or a pop chorus anymore. I'm just looking for a good story and, an easy, straightforward way to tell it. That's blues to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. We actually had a similar conversation on the way up here about, the manufacturing of music nowadays, and how Nirvana came on the radio and we're like, 20 years ago, the record labels were more willing to take a chance on a more avant-garde or out-of-the-box kind of a music, and that's not that way anymore.
Right.
And it's just heartbreaking because we all grew up during that time. That's a fond time for us musically, and it's not like that anymore. And it's kind of disappointing.
It is. Unfortunately, the record label situation has gone away for breaking new music.
Yeah. So.
But that doesn't mean that new music isn't happening.
Exactly. Yes. And that, which is one of the good things about the internet, and so.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I've always wanted to ask you. Your head does not seem to be abnormally large.
Okay.
So where did the big head moniker come from?
Well, we just came up with a name. We needed it for a gig.
Okay.
And we were in high school, and I had this album by Eddie Cleanhead Vincent, and I always thought that was the funniest name.
Okay.
So that's sort of where we got Big Head Todd from.
Cool. Very good.
Yeah.
Where can fans catch up with you guys? Like website, Facebook? Where are you guys out on the internet? And where can they
we
get
love hearing from everybody on Facebook. So Big Head Todd the Monsters on Facebook is probably the best way.
Okay.
But I should point out that we're also doing phone cert of our concerts every night. People can listen free. You just download the app. And ours actually sounds phenomenal because Jeremy built a beautiful mix just for the phone cert thing. So it's a lot nicer than just a board mix or somebody with some mics. And we also sell our shows, every show online for like $10, for 23 songs or whatever.
Oh, nice.
And we're always out playing around, so fans can come check us out at places like the House of Blues, Cleveland.
Great, cool. Mr. Mohr, thank you for your time. It's been a real treat to be able to sit down and talk with you for a little bit. And I know you're busy, so we'll let you go. But here we are once again, Cleveland House of Blues. Mr. Todd Mohr from Big Head Todd and the Monsters are going to be playing tonight, and we're certainly looking forward to that show. And we'll be right back. And we are back. That was Todd Mohr from Big Head Todd and the Monsters, backstage, Cleveland House of Blues. I think it was a great interview. I think he's a great guy. Their musicianship is top-notch, and the songs these guys write and play are just fantastic. So,
check more of them out. I mean, obviously, if you want, I can't twist your arm, but I think if you give them a chance, they'll grow on you, definitely. If you ever see them coming through town, if you want to just go to a good concert, man, that's the concert to go to, because these guys, they play all night, and they literally let it all out on stage. You can tell when they're done, and they're not walking off stage just getting warmed up. They bring it, they start it, and they take it all the way through the end, and it's good stuff. So make sure you check that out.
Much like we bring these episodes.
That's right, man. When we're done, I go over there and collapse.
Yeah, this is hard.
Yeah.
But
check our stuff out too. Make sure you go to therockoffice.com. That's our web address. Talking about bringing it. That thing brings everything to you right there in one package. You've got our episodes that you can catch there. All of our blog posts, which include everything from album reviews, concert reviews, top 10 lists, about anything that we can bring to you in regards to music. You can go there if you know a band that you want to submit for us to check out. You can go there and you can check, submit that to us, and we can, hopefully maybe do something with that. Pictures, you name it. We got that. We're over on Facebook, right, Bill?
Facebook.com/Rock Office. We put stuff up there almost hourly, different things, articles. I write articles, other people write, the stuff we think you guys should know about. We're on Twitter at @the_rock_office. Make sure you follow us, make sure you like us, please share us, and let your friends know what you think. We really appreciate all the support that we get from you guys. We do this because we know that you guys like what we do, and we appreciate your continued support, and thank you for your future support in sharing us. Make sure you check out our gift shop store. You can get some cool Rock Office gear. We appreciate the purchase of that because it goes to help us be able to afford to do what we do, so we can bring this to you guys on a continual basis. And
Twitter. At _rock_office. Did you say that?
I did say that.
I guess I better start listening better. But anyhow, check him out twice, Go to Twitter twice.
Open 2 accounts on Twitter and follow us on both accounts.
Oh, there you go. Now you're talking.
There's an idea.
Yeah, that's an idea. Well, as always, we love you guys. Appreciate your support. And, Billy?
Remember, support your local independent record store by buying the physical copy of music instead of the digital download. And we'll see you next time on The Rock Office. Take care and God bless.